This is a tutorial on how to print multicolor positives for our clients. I'm going to start by opening my Tiger Clip Art design, which I have open in a separate tab. Now, in a previous video, I converted this bitmap into this vector art. My customer wants it to print just as it appears in this bitmap, of course, minus the background. And they want it to be printed onto a gray t-shirt. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself a gray background to represent the gray t-shirt. I'll come to the left and select my rectangle tool. Then I will come onto my document. This is the printable area of the document, and I will draw myself a box by clicking in the upper corner, and you can see it likes to snap to when I get close, and then release when I have it. I'll now come up and left click onto a gray color here. It doesn't particularly matter which gray color. And then I will right click on the slash, which is going to remove my outline. Left click is for fill, right click is for outline, always in CorelDRAW. So now I have a shape that is a gray box with no outline. I'm going to go back to my pick tool by left clicking the pick tool. And now I'm going to lock this into place so that it doesn't move if I accidentally click on it. I'll right click the shape that I just created and I'll scroll down to lock. Now this shape is locked, so if I click on it, I can't grab it. Now, I'll grab my clip art and slide it onto the image. What just happened to it? Well, in CorelDRAW, different objects are layered according to the order that they appear. If an object comes later than a previous object, then it will be in front of the previous object. So in order to bring my tiger to the front, I simply need to click Control Home on my keyboard and it brings the tiger home. I'm now going to change the colors in this design to be printable. First, you'll note that I can click anywhere in my tiger and move the whole tiger. That means that these objects are grouped. It's been transferred into vector, so all the lines are completely sharp and they won't blur. And each item, or each shape is its own object now, but these are all groups. So I'm going to ungroup them by clicking Control U, which ungroups them all. Now I'm able to select them one at a time according to their color. You can see in the lower right-hand corner here, I have a Fill dialog box and an Outline dialog box. The outline shows none. There's no outline on this shape. The fill shows orange. Now, in order to be able to print these colors, they have to be transferred into Pantone. Because if it's a Pantone color, the printer can recognize it as its own color. If it's not a Pantone color, as this one is an RGB value, the printer will recognize that it is a certain percentage red, a certain percentage green, and a certain percentage blue. So if I separate it out, I'm going to end up with multiple colors trying to overlap each other. I need for the computer to recognize this as just one single color, orange. So what I'm going to do is click around my design until I select all of the orange colors. I'm going to show two ways to do this. First is I can hold down Shift on my keyboard and click them one at a time, gathering all of the orange shapes that I can find. If there's less than 15 or 20 total, this is the fastest way to do it. And so I click through. Now, it's very easy to miss some, particularly if they were small or they looked like they were attached to something else. So I'm going to change all of these to a completely different color to see if indeed they came out, or if indeed I grabbed everything. So I'm going to come over and left click a random color on my color palette. Green. I'm looking around and I can see that I've missed one orange piece. which is right there in his toe. I will hold down Shift and grab that one as well. And I'll click my green again. I double check to make sure that nothing is orange. And now I can Control G to group all of the orange together. And I can now left click on a Pantone color. My Pantone colors are the left 3 columns of my color splotches here. So I can come down and select an orange color. Pantone Hexachrome Orange C. Next, I'm going to select my pink. So I will click pink. As far as I can tell, there's only 2. I'll change it to a different color and look all over the image. Here's what will happen if I don't change it to a different color first. Let's say that I only grabbed one ear and then I changed it to a Pantone color. This Pantone color is very similar to the original color. And I might think that both of these are Pantone 176C now, when in fact this one is RGB value. That's why I changed them to a completely different color so I can look and make sure there's no other pink. I'll Control G to group them together. And you'll see that as I go along, it's building me a custom palette of all the colors I've used. So I'll left click on this color on the bottom. Next, I'm going to gather my white. I click, I'm going to scroll in to make sure I'm able to get each white piece in turn. I shift click each of them, I shift click the bottom. I change it to a totally separate color to make sure there's no other white in the image. And now I'll left click on my Pantone Transparent White. Control G, group them together. Now, I'm going to do my black, but for my black, I'm going to use a different technique. Let's say that there were hundreds of different shapes within my design, all of them black, and I don't want to take the time to click each one of several hundred different objects. I can do what's called find and replace. Many times, I'll have a Docker listed on the side already that says find and replace. In this case, I have to pull it up, so I'm going to click plus, and then I'm going to find and replace, and that will open me the find and replace Docker. I'm going to click Add Query, Curves, Uniform Color Fill, and click on the words. Then I'll select the box of Uniform Color Fill, come to the color drop down, and select the dropper. I can now hover it over the top of any of the black in my design. I'll click OK, Find All. And now it has found all of the colors that are exactly that shade of black. I'll change it to my green to see if I'm missing any black in my image. And now I will left click the black, Control G to group it together. Now I have 4 different colors all separated out, and I can change my size and prepare my positive. So here's the last stages of printing a positive. First, I change my whole design to the size that my customer has requested. In order to grab the whole design now, I'm going to have to lasso the whole thing, making sure I go around it. I make my lasso big. I don't come in tight because then I'm liable to miss something. For example, if I come in right here and then only grab what I saw, I only got the pink and the white. So instead, I go big with my lasso, get everything included. My customer asked for this to be 10 inches, so I'll come up to my dialog box and I'll type in 10, enter, and you see that it automatically sizes up. Now I'll grab the top of my design and bump it to within 1/4 of an inch of the top. I can see where my placement is. There's a little line that tracks with my mouse and shows me when I'm at 1/4 inch. So if I grab the top of my design, I can look at that little line and put it about 1/4 of an inch from the top. The last thing I'm going to do before I go to the print window is I'm going to create myself a couple of registration marks. First, I'll go to the ellipse tool and I will drag myself a couple of ovals. First, the first oval is about 1/2 of an inch tall, is fine. It doesn't have to be exact. And I just drag it like that. Now I click in the center of the oval, which will allow me to rotate. I'll press Control so that it goes in precise increments. and I'll rotate it to 90 degrees. You'll see how it clicks as I rotate when I press Control. If I don't press Control, it will go random. So I'm going to press Control, and it will click to exactly 90 degrees. Right click, release to duplicate. Now I have a cross. I will lasso my cross and come down to my color, down in the right-hand corner. Double clicking, I will go up to the color. I will select the gradient. I'll click on the RGB drop-down menu and click registration color. Exiting out of that, I will now go to the width, 1 point, OK. That's one registration mark, which will help us to align all of our colors together. I'll lasso that registration mark, click, Control to keep it in one dimension. You'll see how it goes exactly to the side if I press Control. If I don't press Control, I can put it anywhere, but if I press Control, it will snap it either vertically or horizontally. I drag it to the side, and I right-click Release to duplicate. Now I have two targets that will appear on every color that will help me align them all together. I'm now going to save my design. You want to save every 5 or 10 minutes in a design so that you don't lose all your work if the computer crashes. Now I'm going to print. In order to print, I'm going to press Control P. Or I can come up to the top and click on the print icon. Now, you'll see that it is printing as a gray image right now. So I'm going to first click on my gear and go to Positive Prints. OK. Now I'm going to go to my second tab. That makes it the correct size. So that's not printing on an 8.5 by 11 sheet, but instead our 13 by 19. Next, I'll go to the Color tab, where I will click Separations. Because we're printing multiple colors, I have to print them separate. Now I'll go to my third tab, and I will deselect all of the colors that are not going to be printed into my design. So I'll deselect magenta and yellow, which leaves me black, Pantone 176C, transparent white, and hexachrome orange. Now we see we have an issue. Because I created a gray background, it's going to print on my positive, my black positive, because it's 50% black. So I'm going to apply what I've done, exit out of this window, and I'm going to change this color to a Pantone as well. Right-clicking the gray, I'll unlock it. I'll come over, scroll down on my Pantone colors and select and left-click a Pantone gray. Now I can print, go back to my Separations tab, and you'll see Pantone Cool Gray has been added. And if I scroll through my previews, I'll see that there's a big box that is Pantone Cool Gray 7. I'll remove that because I don't want it to print. So now the printer recognizes one of each color. It recognizes the pink and will print it in solid black. It recognizes the transparent white as its own color and will print it in solid black, and so on and so forth through all of them. Once I've previewed all of them to make sure that they match my original art, that I'm not missing any elements, I can say apply and print, and then the positives will go through the machine.